and after another week hiatus, we are back. Jack is not joining us this week, but I do have Pat returning once again. So
I finally am back.
welcome back. I know you got to see last week's game with us, so you get to have your say into what your experience was both weeks that you've been to games. But first, I think there really isn't much news to talk about, so we can get it out of the way. Is that season ticket holders should have received an email from the league talking about playoff tickets and championship game tickets. So if you're interested in those, they are available, and there is a discount code included in that email. So if you haven't got it, you should have. Look for it. Should be able to get yourself set up for if you're going to go to the North playoff game, that's going to be in Canton. Then obviously the championship game is going to be in Canton. For me, with the way the last few weeks are going, I'm going to say that this is the Cosmos's way of saving me from having to make 2 trips to Ohio in consecutive weekends. So silver linings, that's what I'm going to go with this week.
You gotta look for those.
And then I guess the only other good news is that Frank Ginda won his second Defensive Player of the Week award. He is co-Defensive Player of the Week with Chizino from the Maulers. That was a very tight race. I know it came down to the wire, and I think it was separated by like 3 votes by my math, give or take. So really close competition there. So both guys were deserving of that. Not really a whole lot other positives to take away.
Yeah, unfortunately, because you went to all three home games in a row. I missed the middle one, unfortunately, and man, I was hoping that things were improved from the home opener, but that was a little rough.
4 straight, dude. 4 straight.
Oh, 4 straight, yeah.
Which just makes my experience even worse.
Yeah, dang.
But so obviously we've got to see the same games. You got to. I was there for all 4 weeks. So what were your experiences though? We'll go. What have you taken away from the USFL versus? Because I think you've gone to at least or were you planning on going to some spring games with like the AAF and XFL?
Yeah, I was planning on both times in a row. Basically, my spring football. I'm finally glad I could see spring football live, because my past experiences is every time I made plans, something happened. So the AAF, I was planning on going to a San Antonio Commanders game, and then like the week, like making plans, all that, and like right as soon as I'm about to pull the trigger, the AF announced like all the money problems, like with behind the scenes that we learned later on. But basically, they announced they're shutting down operations. It's like really. So then with the XFL in 2020, same thing. Making plans. I was gonna go down to Houston because I have cousins there, and that was the closest team to my parents. I was like, oh great, my dad and I could take a road trip, meet with my uncle and cousins. We can go to a Roughnecks game. Great, cool. And then we were making plans, and again, same thing. As soon as we were like looking to pull the trigger, that time COVID happened. So it's like, come on. I was hoping to go to a San Antonio Brahmas game for the XFL this year, but scheduling wise, it just didn't work out. So but at least they made it a full season. So hopefully next season I can go to one of those games. But so I'm very happy to be able to do a spring football game live. It was cool because so the home opener, that was really cool to see. That was a pretty decent crowd to turn up, that I thought. So we had a ton of fun. I mean, of course, there's a ton of open seats, as you can see on TV still, but so I was able to kind of move closer than the ticket I bought, which is fine. It happens. But overall, I thought the crowd was pretty good. So I had a lot of fun, and we went out beforehand, and that was a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. And then, I missed the next week after that, and then the week after. So last Sunday's game or Saturday's game, that was I went separately with a different group of friends, and through my friend's work, he got access to like the on-field thing before the game, so he could go on the field and like play. We should have gotten there earlier. We were, yeah, because our friend was already there, and who got us in, and we were having lunch and getting drinks and whatnot at another restaurant, and so we got there probably like 2:45 ish, 3 ish maybe, and he's been, I guess he was there since like 2:30, and like he was telling me like, I guess like they were playing catch with like people in that section, so like they're throwing the ball and stuff and having them throw it back and giving out signed stuff and whatnot. So that's kind of cool to see. But unfortunately, I didn't get to. Well, I didn't get to see it. I guess it was cool to hear that they're doing that kind of thing with, the whatever level VIP that they had. So, but yeah, he was able to add us, so we were able to kind of do that for a bit. That was a lot of fun. And overall, it seemed like the crowd was worse a little bit. I imagine after 2 games of losing, losing at home, the Detroit crowd doesn't suffer fools, I guess. But I guess, but they still turn out for the Tigers, so I don't know how true that is. But um, so yeah, it was. But overall, I still had a lot of fun. It sucks that we lost, but there's still some good football being played and some good plays that kept on drawing us into the game. So can't complain too much, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the pregame and all that, I haven't been able to get down the field. Some of my supposing to be able to do that this year kind of didn't really work out the way that I had hoped. So I haven't been on the field, but I do know that they get to do that, and so it's really cool that they had that opportunity. Something obviously that you think you could probably do with NFL, but obviously there's way more hoops to jump through.
And a lot more money.
Yeah, so with the USFL, it makes it a lot more accessible, and it does seem like the players really enjoy playing with the fans, especially the younger kids that get to go and be there early. So
Yeah,
love.
love that aspect, and like but you always, what's that line like the kids that meet the players like after the game or something? That line that we saw.
Oh yeah, they did that. I think they've done that for 3 of the 4 weeks. I know week one they
Yeah,
had the kids lined up, and then week before last, the Maulers game that was Family Day, so they had them lining up to do some of the stuff, and then it seems like they did that again this past weekend. So
yeah,
they're
they did that. Yeah, and then that's another thing too. Like that last weekend, they had a ton of cool stuff like for the kids. Like they make us signs, taking pictures with the mascot Pablo. They had so many different activities set up. I was like, I don't think they had anything really set up for the home opener. Unless we just like missed it if we watched past it. But I walked the same exact route that we did with the home opener, and this time there's a lot more activities going on. That was really cool to see.
I'm pretty sure that they have for all of the weeks at least. Because when I was walking around trying to find people, week one it was I ran across it, but maybe might be right. I don't know if they did that. I'm pretty sure they did week one. I know they did the last 3 weeks though, having face painting and the caricature drawings and stuff like that, and draw your own sign, and
Oh, okay. Maybe
those little jumping things.
I must have just not noticed it then. So but still, it's now that I actually see it, I appreciate it. All that was really cool to see. To reach out with that engagement. The only thing that I don't know if you talked about it on the last podcast. But the concession prices deal apparently did not go through.
Yeah. We've covered. Yeah,
I'm
it's
sure you did, but
yeah. No, it's not entirely surprising, but like they were saying they were going to do that, and then it just never did, and that's been one of the disappointing factors about it. Because I mean, at the end of the day, especially with them. I'll say this: like over the last couple of weeks, they've been kind of reducing the number of concession stands open.
yeah,
So
yeah.
So where like week one, we had our, concessions that we could go in and even do like the food and drinks in the club section that they had, roped off. Then I think we could even do that week two, but then week 3 and 4, they just continued to cut down on the amount of concessions. And I get it. Attendance is not as hot as obviously it was week one, understandably, because week one's always going to be, the first home game is always going to be the biggest draw, but a
Right.
little disappointing that the only thing that really at this point was open for us club ticket holders were just the one drink, the one bar, which still nice perk, but I mean, it ended up being that we just skipped getting food at the concessions because with even with so only 5,000-6,000 people, you still have lines when you only have a handful of
Yeah.
concession stands open. So that was kind of a pain point for my last experience. It wasn't the greatest, and then of course you had the play on the field, which wasn't the greatest. So, you know, for me, my experience has kind of suffered a little bit over the last couple of weeks. But I mean, if you don't know any better, you coming in for your first game, it's still decent. I still wasn't like it was a chore, but
Yeah.
it could be better.
Cause yeah, I remember like I said, I took the same exact, pretty much the same exact entrance, same exact route to the sections that you're in, and I was like, oh, because I was like, oh yeah, that's where I got this, and that's where oh wait, oh that's close. So the same thing. I mean, because we wanted to get some popcorn and just some snacks. So like we had lunch beforehand, like I said, and so luckily we didn't need food, but like. Uh, so but if we did, that would have been such a pain in the ass, just because everything was closed except for handful. So, like you said, the lines were super long, and I only got a couple drinks because like I don't want to come back and deal with the lines.
Right. I mean, you were trying to find me a couple different times during
Yeah,
halftime
yeah,
and third quarter, and I was still like, we finally
yeah,
met up on the steps when you're
yeah,
finally going, screw this, I'm not waiting for him. Finally came back down. It is so it was definitely hopefully maybe they reopen just because it's the last week in week 10, but if not, then they're gonna lose out on concessions because I know I would have spent a pretty penny.
yeah,
I
for
would have
sure.
spent 30-40 bucks just on a few meals, but
Right, and like
I'm
that.
not waiting that long.
Yeah, and I guess that is true. Like with tickets being that cheap, you're more likely to get concessions, but like the time aspect, that's really the kind of the big killer.
Though on the plus side, whenever I was not in my seats, apparently the Panthers started to play pretty decently.
Well, that means you just gotta not sit down and keep wandering.
I mean, if they go 3-over the next 3 weeks, I'm not going to week 10. I'll be like, screw it. I'm the jinx. I'm the reason.
Right, right. The universal superstition.
I don't know. We'll see. But dude, all right. So last couple weeks, I mean, with the last 3 weeks, just been abysmal. Like, so when I was kind of going back over some stats, I was seeing how the first couple weeks of the year we were able to force 4 turnovers each game, and we won.
Mhm.
Defense has not been able to create 4 turnovers the last 4 games, and coincidentally we lost. Now that's not to say that's on the defense because there's no way it's sustainable to to have 4 turnovers each game, but
No,
like
no.
just come on, like we won the turnover battle finally again last week because I don't think we had won the turnover battle at home until last week. We
Yeah.
were 0 or and then like, well, I think we did maybe 1 week, but either way, um we're not doing well in that, and that's just damning. It's it's hard to blame the defense for what we saw, especially like last week. Granted, our offense did not have a single turnover, which was the best thing I've seen since I think week one. I don't know if we had a turnover week one. I don't. Oh, we did. Of course we did, because it was that muff punt. But
Yeah.
So we did not have a single turnover for the first game all year, which was great. Like, I like that we were able to secure the ball. But at the end of the day, I'd like to see more points on the board because, correct me if I'm wrong, but you need to score more points than your opposition in order to win the game.
That is the idea. Yes.
Okay, so I'm not confused because
No.
by the way we've been playing the last 4 weeks, I wasn't sure if that is in fact how it goes. But okay, thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome. Yeah, and that's definitely like, frustrating too. Is it was a fight to get like any sort of drive going, and so it's like, like the home opener, that was a good game, like good game all around. I don't really have too many complaints, but it seems like the last couple games was just, like I said, it's just a struggle to get anything going. Like outside of a couple good throws here and there, it's just like, okay, come on.
Yeah, quarterback play has not been up to snuff as of late. And part of it I'm going to blame the O-line on. Another big part of it I'm going to blame play calling on. It's been
Yeah.
abysmal. It has just
Yep.
been awful. And there's really no way to sugarcoat it. I mean, with the way that the play calling is going, it's impossible for our running game to get going. And it's not the fault of Corbin or Stevie. Like, they are doing what they can with what they're being given. And they've still been able to, make some good plays out of it. But for the most part, it's been figured out by the defenses, and our offense isn't even clicking. And we had that one great drive at the end of the first half in the second quarter last week where actually it was a good long ball from Love to Quinn.
Oh yeah, that was great.
And then it was still like 30 seconds left. And then we come up with 0 points. Not even that, well, we came up with 0 points because Cole Murphy missed his kick. No, we failed to even get points on that, failed to even attempt a field goal. And that is just mind-bogglingly awful.
That's embarrassing.
There was some discussion on my Twitter when I tweeted earlier this week about like what happened, and it sounded like there's a couple different sorts. Either there was obviously the main thread is that there was miscommunication, or between Love and Marty, in just whether to spike the ball or not. I believe one person said that that Marty did say to spike it, but Love didn't heard him to say to not spike it. Which obviously it was third down. Spiking it would have been at least make it fourth, and we could have kicked a field goal.
Right.
Not that we would have had any time to do any other play anyway, but that's not the way that it went down, and we came up with 0, and that killed some momentum that we had. And I believe we had the ball to start the second half, didn't we?
I believe so. Yeah. So that just extra salt in that wound. Like you said, we started to finally get some momentum, and then that whole thing happened. It's like, oh well, okay. There goes that momentum.
Though what I will say about, as much as I can complain about the offense, and trust me, I can and will continue to complain about the offense, but as far as the defense, though, you would think that with the way that our last 3 opponents were before last week, with the quarterback situation in, Johnson and Williams, and even to a certain degree Cole Kelly, but still, Williams and Johnson, you would think with the dual threat of them being able to take it and run with it, that you'd figure something out with containing a quarterback that has, the ability and penchant to run. But no, we just let Magoo run all the fuck over us. Like,
oh, that was so frustrating to see.
it was so disgusting.
Yeah, it's like just stop him. I mean, I know it's like armchair football player, but like it shouldn't be that easy for him to do that.
Well, then here's the thing too: is it's not like you don't have Barrier on your team where you can kind of run him like as a scout team, and him being dual threat, that he can somewhat emulate what Magoo and Williams and Johnson can do. But no, they looked completely like they've never seen a quarterback that knows how to tuck it and run at all. And I'm so confused. I don't get it. I just do not understand that. So I don't know what was going on. Like otherwise, like they've been able to handle, defense has been able to handle offenses relatively well, keep us in the game, and they did for the most part on Saturday. But still,
Yeah.
they had, let's see here, what was 190 yards rushing versus 122 through the air. So Magoo didn't even really have to challenge us through the air. Didn't have to test that. They just took it and ran. And
Yep.
I don't know. I think that was probably like the one most complete example of just being inept last week on both sides of the ball. We had 209 yards of passing offense, so that wasn't like super awful. We had, better than 50% completion percentage for once, which was definitely looking like a impossibility after weeks 3 and 4.
Right.
But there's not too many good takeaways. Like even Murphy was not perfect on Saturday. He missed one field goal. So I think my biggest positive was, hey, we did one turnover battle again, and two, we scored more points than last week. Scored 13, but still, I think we have quite possibly the worst point differential in the league right now.
Ugh. That's annoying.
Yeah, we are negative 34.
Dang, seriously?
Yep. Well, actually, okay. Oddly enough, we are tied with that differential with the Stars, who are first in the North. So I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what's going on in the North. That's a whole other discussion that we can have. Like, I know you've, made a couple games, but have you watched or paid attention to the league outside of the few Panthers games so far?
Yeah. I try and put them on whenever I can. I watched a couple games. I forgot which games I watched last weekend, other than the Panthers game. Yeah, I mean, I've been semi-following it. Yeah.
I'll be honest. Like,
So I get where you're alluding to.
is that it's just, I don't know. It's inept. Like, let's see here. No passing touchdowns for the Stars last week. No rushing touchdowns. Like, I don't think they've scored a offensive. They haven't scored a touchdown in like the last 2 weeks, which is just weird as hell. But again, I think that's just kind of a good example of just what the hell the North is this year. As Angelo of USFL Today was mentioned to me in DM, was that over the last 8 games, over the last 4 weeks between the Generals and the Panthers, the two teams combined are 1-7.
Jesus.
And the only win was the Generals over the Panthers, and someone had to win that game. It's
Right.
so like that is just 1-7 between those two teams over the last 4 weeks.
Yeah. What?
1-7, dude. What
It's
the
come.
hell?
It's like, come on. Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
And I think I really shot ourselves in the foot with my tweet at the end of week 2, because I tweeted how the North, that the Detroit hub is better than the Canton hub. Michigan
Yeah.
better than Ohio. And since then, it didn't bode so well. But then again, the Stars have turned it around the last couple of weeks. 2 straight games.
Yeah.
Panthers certainly haven't.
Unfortunately not. No.
Oh,
One.
it's just confusing.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's especially annoying too, because like the mirror aspect of the NFC North, historically too, in the NFL is, besides the Packers being lucky as hell, even though in the grand scheme of things, all their talent has been squandered too. But it's like, come on.
Like, I mean, I get it. We're used to mediocrity, but like, not
Here's
like
it.
this. It's
Yeah,
this is on a whole nother level. Like, seriously, it just the game management, the play calling, it's all been bad. I don't know the last time I remember seeing a team perform this horribly. And obviously, we watched the Lions, and you watched the Bears, and Michigan. Wolverines went through a rough patch for 10, 15 years, and
Yep.
yet I still don't remember seeing a team that's just this out of sorts.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm thinking back to last season when when we were so excited, and it's like oh my goodness, I wish
Well,
I had.
at the very least, like last year, the six of the losses were by one score.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I guess that. Sorry, I worded it wrong, but it's like the optimism that we had last year, because even like you said, we lost 6 or whatever, but it's still good. So the optimism going into this year.
Oh yeah.
That's more what I meant. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I had more optimism, especially after the first couple of weeks. I'm like, all right, are we actually looking at having a team? And like, for those first 2 weeks, yeah, sure as hell looked like it. Like, I don't think really anybody disagreed with having the Panthers in the top 2 or top 3 of any power
no.
rankings, because they looked the part.
Oh, they looked great at opening up the season. I mean I definitely started watching since the beginning of the season, and they looked great. So I was like, okay, cool.
And then the last 4 weeks have just been a punch to the gut, and I'm still so salty that I had to travel 75 miles and spent that gas money the last 4 weeks just to watch team lose by double digits all 4 games. Like last year, again, like I just mentioned, 6 of the 8 losses were by single score. We already blew that out of the water. 4 of our losses have already been by double score. Like, we have not had a single score game this year at all,
Yeah,
which is just crazy because it's at 6 games last year, single score, single digit, then 4 by 2 scores, or 2 or more scores. Yeah, this year all 6 have been by 2 or more scores, and we are 2-4 because of it. I
yep. Here's a question too that I was kind of pondering. Well, not really pondering, but sometimes like my friends who I kind of went with last game, they're definitely not into the spring football thing like we are. So they were asking me all sorts of questions. I was able to answer most of it, but we were kind of going over the the PAT attempt rules, and it's this versus the XFL.
Mm.
And so have many teams been opting for the 3-point option, the 3-point PAT attempt?
I That's a good question.
I'd have to look that up. I just didn't know if you kind of noticed that on the back of your head or not. But because I know in the XFL, like I've been noticing a lot, but then again, like they don't have the kick attempt, so it's like if you're gonna go for it, you might as well go for 3, right? Even though you're further back. But like, yeah, it's just kind of because I think I know it. I've seen a couple here and there throughout the league over over the past games, but I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to. I'd be interested in seeing the stats of teams going for the 3 versus just the kick.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, and I don't believe I've witnessed any of the teams this year go for it.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm getting confused with the XFL then.
I mean, to be honest, you might have seen more USFL games than I have this year, just by simple fact, like I've said, obviously I lean USFL, but a big part of being that we have a team that we can actually go and see the games for.
Right.
But as far as like the timing of the season, though, like the weather, especially for the last couple of weeks, has been really nice on their weekends for us. It's been dry and pretty
sunny
decent.
and
So
finally.
I haven't been watching, and that's kind of probably going to be the same case this weekend. But
this weekend's holiday weekend too, so that'd be. But I've been able to pull it up on my phone, wherever whatever I'm doing. So, but like,
let's see here. I can pull up the kicking stats and see what the extra point attempts versus makes are, but I don't see anything with 2 or 3 points. So I don't know. I don't know if the league actually has those stats up for me or for us, so I can't see. But I don't remember seeing any of them. Which again, like you said, if you can kick, your PAT, then there's really not a whole lot of incentive unless you're trying to catch up to really go for 2 or 3. And with the state that we have been in, we haven't even been at that point where we would want to attempt for more than 2.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's like and that's both leagues. I think is a really cool option though. Anyway, it's just to to have that 9-point swing available, just just in case. Like to your point, we never even got close to where it'd be worth it. But if we did, it's still pretty cool to have that option.
I was hoping that was going to be the case this weekend, though. Like if we would scored, the touchdown, we would have been able to.
It could have been a possibility. It just unfortunately, did not work out that way.
Instead we got a touchdown and 2 field goals, which are not enough. We need to score touchdowns. One thing that's been confusing me about our play calling, besides the game management, which has just been horrendous, our incompetence in being able to use timeouts properly or to call any sort of hurry up offense is it's baffling. Like I do not understand how we just have zero ability to play with a sense of urgency. Even in some of my most pessimistic times as a Wolverine fan, we at least knew how to play like with sense of urgency.
Right.
I've not seen this from this team, and maybe that's just a sign of how much trust that this coaching staff has in the team. But then I would like to ask them, how do they have faith in this team?
Right. What do you see? What do you see that we don't?
Exactly. What do you see? What do you know that gives you that faith in them when for the past 4 weeks they have done nothing but fail to generate points when it's been needed? Not even just like during garbage time. It's been when it's needed, and we've just not been able to put points on the board. And granted, I mean, we're not scoring when we're not playing with a sense of urgency. So maybe not playing with a sense of urgency means that the offense slows down and that we have a better chance of scoring. I don't know. I'm trying to still look at the silver lining, try to be optimistic. It's not working. One of my biggest complaints, though, is where the hell is Barrier? Why have we not seen Barrier?
Right? Because they haven't really said anything about him, right? Like,
well, I get with week 3, obviously it was going to be Love and Strong, and I agreed with that decision because we needed that. But after seeing what New Jersey did to our line and not having an answer for them, I'm like, cool. Run with Love or Strong as QB1. Activate Barrier for QB2, and if we need him, we have him. We can throw him in. And
yeah, exactly. Just like let's see what happens. At least like some, something could work. Who knows?
just give it a shot. But they seem absolutely against that. Now, I thought unfortunately with Strong being out on injury reserve, being placed on injury reserve last week, that we would be, having Barrier in it. Okay, so cool. If Love isn't able to generate points, like what we were doing the last few weeks, throw in Strong, see what we can get going. So I thought, okay, now with Barrier in, or with Barrier active, then maybe we would do that. No, coaching staff seems to have zero faith in Barrier, because even when it was clear that Love wasn't getting the job done, they did not put Barrier in like previous weeks where they would throw Strong in. So I don't know why. It's baffling. Like, I tweeted about it, and Tololo Limu Jones, who we had traded for earlier in the year, and then or over in the offseason, and then released before the season started, his tweet was pride. So he seems to think that maybe there's some pride involved in why they're not giving Barrier a shot. Either way, though,
wouldn't be the first time. But,
yeah. So there seems to be at least a growing concern about like why we're not even giving Barrier a shot. And I've been on this train for weeks, and it's baffling to me. I do not like it. I want to see Barrier in, if not because I necessarily think that he is going to be the best arm, but the fact that he's going to give our offense a brand new shot. He's got a different skill set. At the very least, what he can do is give the defense a second to pause and have to, put a spy on him, which could then, at the very least, open up the run game.
Right.
Like exactly what happened with the Stallions this past week against us. But no, they seem content to not do that. Seems like the staff continues to have faith in Love. And I mean, I'm not going to backtrack off of where I stood at the beginning of the year. Like, I like Josh. I like him as a quarterback. I like him as our quarterback. I don't think that he's a bad choice or a bad quarterback. But it's clear that whatever we're doing right now isn't working, and I would like to see some fresh blood. I would like to see something. And I'd rather it not be Lewerke.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like it. And I completely agree with you. Like I like Love too. He's a good quarterback. It's just like at the same point, he's a piece of a puzzle that we can't solve. So why not change it out just to see what happens? And it's just so frustrating.
Can't be any worse.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm watching Twitter and I'm so pissed now. Okay, so I forgot to mention this.
Oh boy.
So yesterday, I don't know if you saw this, but we released Ish Hyman.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Why? Why would we release Ish? So mad. And then guess who claimed him off waivers just now or today?
Oh,
The
who?
Maulers.
Oh, of course. Jeez.
And that's another reason why I have zero faith in this coaching staff right now. Who the hell's decision was it to release him? I'm like, unless he was begging the coaching staff to release him, why? But again, even if he was, put him on practice squad and keep him there. Because otherwise, we're giving another team a weapon. Dude, I'm so over this. I'm so pissed over the last 4 weeks, and I'm just the continued ineptitude that this coaching staff is. I don't know, man. I have not been paying nearly as much attention to the USFL this week just because I got burned out after Saturday.
Yeah.
It's
No, that's
disgusting.
understandable. It really is. It's like, oh God. Why? Yeah. Why would they do that?
And so now one of our weapons is now playing for our division. I'm speechless. That's just a microcosm of what it feels like to be a Panthers fan this year. Like it's crazy. And I knew going into this episode that I was just going to be like a bitch fest, and not that I
Yeah.
want to just be like, wah. I'm just clearly I'm invested in this team. I'm not complaining just because I want to bitch and moan. I'm complaining because like I've put a lot of effort into, not that I need a pat on the back or, they need to win for me, but it's just disheartening. Like as much as I've been invested in the team and the league, like, and this is what we get for a team. It's no, I'm exhausted.
Right. Oh, I mean, it's. I mean, that's that's like a legitimate thing is how much can a fan base put up with and NFL teams are old, they have generational after generational, so so shitty teams, the joke is you're cursed when you're born because your dad's a fan, so you become a fan. That's what happened to me in the Bears, and then and growing up in and on the east side of Michigan, you're naturally just a Lions fan too. So it's like that's I had like the Bears have a tiny bit more pedigree, but for the most part, they're just as in the same boat as shitty. So I was like, so it's frustrating, so it's exciting when you get your hopes up for the spring league or like a new league like this. It's like, oh, you can become a fan of something new and hopefully they're good. I lucked out with the, unfortunately, COVID took that away, but with the XFL, like, oh, I picked right with Houston. So like decided to see Houston dominate. And so we had our hopes up with, oh, finally as a Michigan sports fan, we can have a good sports team. And then it's like, and then it's like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, not to, talk about the other league, but I got spoiled this year with, granted, till the championship game, but I was spoiled with DC for this year. So I was thinking,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
my luck is finally turning around. Panthers started 2-0. So I was like feeling somewhat optimistic. And then now
Right. And
now I'm hurting. Now it feels like last year again.
and DC did pretty well in XFL 2020, right? I mean, yeah, again, not to go too far in the XFL, but
They're 3-2. They beat they
yeah,
technically won the East Division by by having
yes,
the tiebreakers over New York and St. Louis, but
yeah. So like, so they were also like on the up and up too. So so they continued to be good too. So it's like, oh, come on, come on, Panthers, please. I just want to be a fan of a good team.
I know, yeah, you kind of got shafted this year.
Yeah,
Either way you went, you would have been, if you would have stuck with your team or going to your new one, you were still going to be ultimately disappointed.
yeah. I mean, not to go into other leagues, but like, Lions finally look at least like this year, the Lions are gonna be exciting. So hopefully that pans out. But man, I was really hoping the Panthers would be solid.
I mean, like I said, after the first couple of weeks, definitely looked like that was going to be the case.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. I know that it got to be fair somewhat to Nolan a little bit. Just the fact that he came in with, didn't really get to shape the roster on his own accord, but I still will stand by the fact that I like our roster. I really have a lot of faith in our roster. Our roster is good, but clearly they're underperforming. Now we have 4 defensive player of the week award in Speaks and Ginda winning twice. So it's not like that we don't have good players. It's not like they haven't been able to show up. Hell, Levante Taylor will tell you that he gets like 1 or 2 targets a game and he's given up no touchdowns this year. He's, as far as lockdown is concerned, he's locked down. Josh Butler has been playing great. We've been able to get sacks. Like I think we are tied for first in sacks in the league. So it's not like that the defense hasn't taken a step up forward from last year, because they certainly have. But the offense has taken a huge step back. How last year through the full year we were number 1 in pass yards, number 2 in total yards of offense, and number 4 in points. And this year, let me scroll back to what I was saying. What I was complaining about before is that we are like here we go. Through 6 games this year, in contrast, we are number 6 in pass yards per game, number 5 in total yards per game, and number 7 in points scored. So bottom half versus top half in the same categories from last year to this year. So clearly our offense has been figured out, and there's only so much our defense can do.
Right. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think the defense has been solid. I like who we have, and hopefully, we can build on that and continue on. But to your point, it's like still, unfortunately, the results just aren't where we want them to be.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, how I guess depends on how you want to look at it. We're still very much in the running for playoffs. I'm finding it very, very, very difficult to be optimistic about it, though. Like, I want to believe. I do. I truly do, because there's only one team that's even 500 in the North, and that is the Stars at 3-3. And then the second spot, for sure, even if the Stars lock up the first seed, the second seed in the North is still very, very much wide open. And the Generals, Maulers, and Panthers are all 2-4. So it's not like this, even how disgusting that play has been, that the season is over by any means for any of the 3 teams. Again, not to turn this into an XFL podcast, but you had the Renegades go 4-6 in the regular season, and they end up winning the championship. So
Right.
maybe this is the North's to win again this year, because the North lost the championship last year.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I guess that is a good point too. Is like you still have it's still up for grabs, so there's still hope, and maybe they can get their shit together and.
hey, you just need to peak at the right time.
Right, exactly. So that's a good way to look at it for sure. Hopefully they can pull it together.
But we are 1-2 in the division, so that doesn't bode well. So we need the next couple weeks, at least next week. I don't really care about the Breakers game so much. That'll be in protective, and we'll, that's the South team. If we lose that, whatever. But I'm more concerned about the three North games that we have left. We really need to win all 3 of those and finish 4-2 in the North, and then I think even a 4-6 record gets us, or 5-5 record gets us to the playoffs with the way that the North is right now. Especially if we get a win over the Maulers and Generals, and of course the Stars. So I'm letting my optimism seep through a little bit, but I know I'm just gonna get hurt. No, I'm just gonna get hurt.
Yeah, but you got to be optimistic,
And I mean, I say all this, but Sunday I'm going to be tuning in to, into the game, and I'm going to watch. I'm going to cheer. Because it is the holiday weekend. I will be fed, and I will have some, drinks in me. So I'm going to be loud. I'm going to be ready to go. Like I am going to be right back at it. So I'm using this as my kind of my release.
Yep.
This is where I can leave it, and then maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and be like feeling a lot more optimistic than what I am right now. But and if that's the case, then so be it. And I certainly hope so. Like I said, I really, as much as I don't want to go to Ohio 2 weeks in a row, I would for the Panthers. I've already done so much. I would make that sacrifice again.
Right. Oh, one thing too, because you just reminded me, because I'll probably be wearing my Panthers gear on Sunday to watch a game or wherever I end up to throughout the day. I that opening weekend I bought some merch, so I bought a quarter zip and a hat, my white Jeff Fisher hat. I really am impressed with the quality of the gear. I liked everything I saw in the gift shop, or not the gift shop, the merch shop. Um, if I'll probably get some more stuff for sure. But I like everything that they have. They have there. Especially the quarter zip. I love my quarter zip. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for quarter zips, but this one is a very nice one.
Oh, it is. It's right up there, if not better than like my Nike and Jordan stuff that I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love most of the merch. Some of the print on demand stuff, like the long sleeve I have is but other than that, yeah, no, I've spent so much money on merch too, and that's again another reason why I'm pissed. I've spent money not only on season tickets, not only on parking, not only on gas, but those last two things don't go to the league. My tickets sales do, and all the merch stuff. Because this year I've bought 2 footballs. I've gotten a couple different hoodies, including the one from Breaking Tea I bought just before the season. Then I bought the official sideline gear one. I bought the quarter zip. I have another little like 3/4 baseball tee with a hood. I bought that. Bought the tumbler. So like I'm fully invested. Oh, and a couple hats. You know the new era hats, both the royal plum and the white ones. So yeah, I am neck deep in Panthers merch right now. So like I'm all in. Like, and yeah, I'll be rocking it this weekend probably. Maybe not my new hats while I'm smoking, because I don't want my hat stinking. But
Right.
then again,
Yeah.
Applewood doesn't stink. I wouldn't hate my hat smelling a little bit like Applewood, but um, so yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be ready to go. It'll be good. But speaking of that, so we could probably get into this week's game against the Generals. Seeing as at least I got all of my bitching and moaning out.
Yeah. We could get into it.
All right. So obviously we played the Generals in week 3 for the first home game. Didn't end the way that we wanted. DJ, did what all running quarterbacks have done on us this year and kind of diced us up. And so now we get a chance to redeem ourselves against him. But this time they're going to be in Canton. The last 3 weeks have been Saturday games, so this is a break from that. So Sunday, the 28th at 5:30 p.m. It's another. Well, this is the last, I believe, last game that's going to be on cable. The next 3 of ours will be on over the air, either NBC or Fox. So this is on FS1, and yeah, it's a matchup of 2 and 4 teams looking to find some hope of finishing out the season strong and you know and going to the playoffs again. Like I mentioned earlier, like Angela reminded me, both teams combined are 1-7 over the last 4 games, with the only win coming between the matchup in week 3 between these two teams. So there's a lot of good as far as what can happen and what it would mean for either team, but a lot of bad is these teams have just not been performing at all. And so it's going to be a kind of a crapshoot. Do we have a good game? Is it good and close because both teams are inept, or is it another 2+ score game that we've seen all season for the Panthers?
Yeah, it could go either way. I want to go with blind optimism and say, fine, the Panthers. This will be what sets the Panthers off. But yeah, it like you said, it could go either way. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Granted, the Generals have only played one technical home game this year. They did play, home against the Maulers in week 2, but technically this is the Generals' second home game, and so they are 0-1, so they're winless as the home team too. So, not quite sure what that says for us. We are 2-0 as the away team. Maybe that's going to be the trick. Like I said, maybe we'll go 5-5. Not winning a single home game, which would be disheartening, but still, it's good enough to get into the playoffs, which, again, with the way that the North is looking, 5-5 might just be enough.
Right.
I expect to see the Generals doing more of what they did in week 3. They're just going to put their bigs and just, from my perspective, they're just going to manhandle us again, probably. That's kind of my expectation, which is why I plead and beg and hope that we are going to give Barrier at least some sort of shot if our offense continues to stutter with Josh Love under center.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I want to see is if they, like you said, if the offense continues to stall out, and just please do something, play around with, who knows what might happen. That's definitely going to be the biggest thing that I keep watching out for, especially going into the later part of the season and towards the playoffs. It's like, please adapt a little bit. That's all I want at this point.
Yeah, I think that's one of my biggest concerns. I think that's the biggest catalyst for all of my frustration is that there has not been that desire to try anything different. Like, and I get it. If what you're doing, you're comfortable with, what you're doing, you have faith in it, fine, run with it. Just, again, jump into another league with college, with U of M, they could do the same thing that they wanted to do, but they had the team built to do what they wanted to do. They made the play calling. Sometimes it was boring and predictable, but it worked. They could impose their will. We don't have that luxury. Panthers do not have that luxury. So they need to try something different. And even if they lose big again, if they try something different, I'm going to at least have a little more faith the last 3 games. I'm actually going to maybe enjoy the last game, last 4 games more if they offer up some sort of change, some sort of, trying something different.
Yeah, exactly. That's my pretty much ask for the rest of the season. I want to see them try something different. That's all I ask, really. I mean, obviously, I want wins, but
make it interesting, make it fun. At least
Yeah.
give us a reason to believe, even if they don't come out on top. Because right now, they're not coming out on the top, and they're not giving us a reason to believe or a reason to think that something could change. At the very least, give us one of those things. Even if nothing does change, even if the wins don't come, they're not coming already. So throw it out there. Do something different. Play Barrier. Hell, bench Love and make Barrier and Lewerke the two active QBs. Something to give these teams, a moment of pause. Last year in the second game against the Generals was Barrier's, first game out there taking real snaps, and he did quite well. He ended up throwing, interception at the end of the game because, well, of course, the Panthers were behind and they needed to try the heroics to win. But
right
when they did that, they actually had different play calling. Though, do you remember that? Like last year, they actually tried different things and tried to get chunk plays and tried to do things at the end of the game to get back into it. Win. This year, that's gone away completely.
Yeah, exactly. That's yeah. Because like any other team, you know, they'd be constantly trying something or benching people, or you see that all the time in the NFL. If a quarterback's on a terrible cold streak, boom, there here comes a second. I mean, obviously, that statement is not blanket. It really depends on the team and the quarterback, but like, man, yeah, if I mean, my biggest example for that is freaking going back to the Bears. The Bears, that one game that Mike Glennon started for the Bears, he played like 4 snaps, and then they put in Trubisky. It's like, because he was just that bad. So I was like, you gotta adjust. I don't care. Again, like what you alluded to earlier, maybe it is just pure pride and ego that we don't make the wrong decisions. It's like, who cares? Suck it up and do something.
Well, I mean, isn't that kind of how teams that aren't supposed to be where they are, like they have no reason, they do not deserve to win, but yet still win because they throw caution to the wind, they play, out of their ability, like the spoiler makers with every single time that they play Ohio State, like.
Yep, every
They're
time.
not expected to win. They should win. They have no business winning, and yet they do because one, they're probably overlooked, and two, like they have nothing to lose. They can throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at OSU and see what they can get. And if they lose, well, they were expected to lose. If they win, cool. Then they continue to have that moniker of the spoiler makers. So,
exactly, yeah.
Maybe we need to treat the rest of the season like that. Like, I know that with maybe them thinking like, hey, we are very much in the thick of the playoff race at 2-4, which is still just mind-boggling, but very much thick, in the thick of the playoff race. So maybe they think that we can just continue doing what we're doing, even though it's not working. But I don't know. Maybe they don't want to rock the boat. Maybe they feel like they're finally getting somewhere. I hope not. I really do want to. I just want to see something.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Just something.
But I expect our defense to play better this year or this week, though. I do. They did kind of get pushed off the ball by the New Jersey O-line in week 3. I think they fare a little bit better. I think they are able to get a few stats. Hopefully, they can get a couple sacks. Handful of tackles for loss would be nice. Turnovers. 4 seems to be the magic number to get us a win, as it did in the first couple weeks. But I'm good with just winning the turnover battle. That, of course, is going to require that the offense doesn't give the ball away, which, again, granted, last week there were none. So that was, I believe, the first week in all of the weeks this year where we had not given away the ball at all. So, I mean, that's at least the good sign. Continue that. Let the defense eat a little bit. Grona needs Speaks and Ginda to have another big week. I think that's going to be absolutely key.
Yeah, I concur. I I just want everyone to do better, please. That's all I want.
All right, if they have it, they have the ability. Like I said, I love this roster. I still overall have some faith in what the staff has been able to do. The offense, though, you're not going to see me going out on a limb for them. But at least with the defense, I think if they continue to keep us in it, maybe something breaks. Maybe with some of these new acquisitions, our receiving core can get free. I still question how that's going to happen without Ish. I mean, Hyman he wasn't our stat leader, but he was far from inept in the receiving. So I'm really curious to see how Quinn continues to grow. Walker needs to make sure that he continues to keep the ball, and then we have a couple new guys, and then Davis, see how he does. I know he was active last week, so I'm gonna go ahead and say we should maybe give our predictions. If you want to go first, go ahead. What do you think? What's the outcome of Sunday's game?
Sunday's game, I'm gonna probably. Let's see. I'll be slightly optimistic and say 17-14 Panthers.
Oh, all right. I mean, that goes completely against what we've seen so far.
I know. I know. I know. I'm being blindly optimistic.
I'm trying to get myself there. I am really trying to get myself there, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be more tune of say 21 to 14. I'll say we finally can keep it within one score. But unless the weather is shit, unless we get Barry active, I'm going with 21-14. I say we get one more point than we did last week, but it's gonna be the Generals taking this one again, sweeping us for the second straight year. I hope I'm wrong. I'm trying some reverse psychology, even though I tried that against with the Maulers prediction, and that didn't work my way. I was hoping that the first 5 weeks we did the opposite of what the spread was. So if we were favored, we lost. If we were the underdog, we won. And that had kept we were the inverse of that until last week when, of course, the Stallions were favored and they took care of business. So I expect the Generals, I do believe the Generals are favored again this week. So I'm going to hope maybe that last week was just an anomaly and that we are again the inverse. But I'm not picking against the Generals at this point. I don't have faith in Generals, but I have even less faith in us.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, blind optimism. Let's go. Hopefully it'll work out. But I mean, both of us, at least are having this slight optimism of having 2 touchdowns. So, that's something.
Yeah. I mean, if we can pull out a win and we don't have to use Cole Murphy, then great. I mean, if he has to pull an Aguilar and kick, 9 field goals to win the game and have that USFL record, I welcome it too. Dude has the leg, he has the ability. Just needs something. We just need something to go our way, and
yeah. I mean, yeah. Hey, same. I welcome that too.
I have no money on the game. I have no skin in it, so of course I'm not. I can
Right.
choose against us, but I'm gonna root for us. If I was betting on the Generals, of course, I would hope that I would, actually lose money. I'm still just looking at the roster and just going confused with what the hell we were doing with releasing Hyman.
Yeah.
I've been on that since last week or since yesterday, so I'm I'm trying, dude. I'm trying to have optimism. I really am. Like I said, I've spent so much money. I've spent so much time and effort in creating content for the Panthers and rooting for the Panthers. Like I'm not giving up on the Panthers. But for this week, for this year, I'm close to it, man. Like I'm fading on that. So we'll see. I don't. But at least we're having fun. Like I am enjoying the games for the most part. Like the fact that we are still like lingering in these games until the end of the game. It's kind of a double-edged sword though. Like
Yeah.
you
Yep.
have some hope and then it's just dashed. But at the very
Yep.
least, it's not just like, oh, it's halftime. Well, I'm gonna turn the TV off now and just do something different, or I'm just gonna leave at halftime and game's over. So at least we've been
Yeah.
able to do that. At least they've been able to squeeze 60 minutes out of me for all 6 weeks so far.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I even not just Panthers, any games. I've never felt the need to turn a game off or anything. And the games I've went to so far, I've stayed till the very end just because like you said, it's still good fun. It's not like utter despair and it's like, oh, there's no point in being here. But yeah. I mean, I'm also I don't think there's only like 2 or 3 movies that I've walked out on in theaters. Maybe not even 3, but so I'm also one of those persons who's like, once I'm there, like whatever. But the fact that but even on TV, I haven't felt the need to turn anything off or for any like boredom reasons, like outside life happens and you have to go. But yeah, no, I've been happy that I've been happy watching them at least. So
Yeah, the last game that I had to leave early on, I believe in disgust anyway, was the Michigan Ohio State game back in 2019. That was
yeah,
that got ugly in the fourth quarter. But
yeah,
other than that, Panthers haven't made me that upset. So
right, yeah, exactly.
not yet anyway. So
Yep,
keeping that faith. Hopefully they don't.
knocking on wood.
I'm trying to think. I don't believe there is anything else going on. Obviously, we had the next 3 weeks of games being away, so at least get to enjoy and have cheaper drinks while watching this team. So
Yep.
at least silver lining there. But I guess until then, you planning on being back in the saddle as far as recording goes?
Yeah, I should be. Yeah, next week I'll be good. But the week after I'll be out of town for the whole week, so probably not.
Gotcha.
But
So we will have you as more than
yeah,
just a
but
recurring guest again, and Jack
yeah,
should be back next week.
yeah,
Uh,
going for it, I should be more regular.
Sweet, good deal. Like I said, I know Jack was confused about whether we were recording this week. I know we've missed 2 of the last 3 weeks, so I get that. But so he'll be back next week though. So
Cool.
should be all 3 of us next week. Hopefully, we get to say that we finally won a Northern duel against the Generals. So
Absolutely, looking forward to it.
with that, like I'm leaving all my disgust with this podcast, with this recording. As soon as we're done, as soon as I hit stop, I'm on to Sunday, and I'm optimistic, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So with that, I think we're going to leave you. I've been bad with the giveaways for the tickets the last few home games, but with the last home game being week 10 on the 18th, I will have another giveaway there. So keep an eye on the Twitter and Instagram for those. And it's always follow us on social media. We are at USFL Shadow on all social media, being YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow Jack on his Twitter at Panthers Claw MI. My personal Twitter at Cheese Soda. Pat still doesn't have a public one. And with that, we'll talk with you next week.
Yep. Have a good holiday.